Good morning. We've had a new mattress delivered this morning, as promised by John Lewis, which is excellent news. And now, that looks quite great, it's very nice. And I'm heading over to Notting Hill to see Julia for her birthday.
Welcome to another episode of Toby's Stupid Vlog.
So here we are in Westbourne Park. Actually surprisingly easy to get to. But if you get on the Hammersmith and City line and come round on the western side, you do go right past Grenfell Tower, and it is the most sobering thing you will see. It's really quite hard to look at, to be honest. But we're here for a birthday, so cheerio thoughts. I don't really know this part of the world particularly well. I think I came around these parts a few years ago when I was filming with Snaith, but other than that, I haven't really been here. Happy Sunday. So here we are up in town, and as you can see, this is London Bridge. There's HMS Belfast looking magnificent, and Tower Bridge and the Tower of London both looking rather resplendent. But we are going to the walkie-talkie building, so the top there where you saw the people in the viewing gallery. So this is where we are, the Sky Garden on top of the walkie-talkie building. The view of the Shard is spectacular, but then this is even more impressive. You know I love a bit of botany. This is some excellent botanicals each side. It's quite an impressive view, if only of the Shard, I mean, but the rest of South London laid out for you there. And then Tower Bridge and beyond. And you can actually see the Crystal Palace transmitter down here.
And you take it up with someone inside.
So we're going to explore the greenery a little bit. Cut the side. It's like having a Kew glasshouse only 35 stories up. We've come up even further, so that's where we were. We came up the side round there. There's another greenery behind this restaurant, and then we've come up again to this little terrace. It's really good here, I have to say. Like, they've made a really good job of it, and the idea that it doesn't cost you to come up here, it only costs you to eat or drink up here. It's very nice. You can see the sides, which are where the botanical bits are. On this side, going all the way down here, back to where we started again, and then you can see across where we went up and the bar in the middle. Amazing looking flowers here. We are at King's Cross, St Pancras. And we're going around the back of the station, between the two stations, to get to the German Gymnasium, which is not a gymnasium, it's a restaurant that sits between the two. That building there in the centre ground, that is the German Gymnasium, which I presume at some point was actually a gymnasium. I don't know why it was ever German. It looks like a German building, but that's by the by maybe. And it's now a bar, cafe, restaurant. This whole area has been so massively rejuvenated in the last 10-15 years. It's almost unrecognisable. So this is the inside of the amazing German Gymnasium. Incredible wooden roofs, amazing brickwork, and come down here, got amazing breakfasts and cocktails as well. Get a bit of a feel for their space. There we go. Very beautiful. I would recommend coming. It was a very nice meal. Happy Monday. I am going for a little walk to read some more board papers. It's the last board meeting of the cycle this coming Thursday, and then we got an AGM the following week, and then there's no board related things for about 3 months. So these are quite heavy board papers. There's one in particular that is going to cause a little bit of friction, and I just wanted to get my head around them as early as possible, so I'm going to go into Kew to do that. That was a very good fun weekend. The Sky Garden and the German Gymnasium yesterday, excellent, really enjoyed those. And on Saturday, although I didn't film any of it, Jilly's birthday party, which was really interesting, if only the conversations I had with many of her friends. So yes, a weekend that possibly needed and very much enjoyed. Apropos of nothing, you may notice if you ever have walked around Kew, there's a disproportionate number of people who have the word Kew in their number plate, largely because you can, because it's a 3-letter town name. But it's quite interesting. I've never been to another town with 3 letters, like Ham, for example, that does the same thing with quite such regularity. So I wonder if you've ever noticed it anywhere else, and I wonder if it tells you something about the residents of a place. Just made it in before official opening time by about 3 minutes, so the queue's already forming. I just sort of waltzed past them, waved me purple card, and here we are. So that's good. So I've got a 3-minute head start on the rest of the world. So I'm going to try and find a comfy seat and read some papers and bide my time until I need to go to Vauxhall, because I'm doing a video for WebVid this afternoon. As I mentioned before, this is the very first time this year I've managed to make it in opening hours for members only, and as you can see, that is the absolute best thing, because there isn't anybody about, especially on a Monday morning. I mean, what idiot comes to a Botanic Gardens on a Monday morning? This idiot. That will do as my spot for the morning. Nice view, excellent temple, good geraniums. That is pretty much everything one could need at this point. I have read some board papers. There's still plenty to go, because there always is. So now I'm heading for the bus stop. I'm going to go to Vauxhall and then find out what it is I'm supposed to be filming this afternoon. The weather is improving slightly, so it's quite nice. Yeah, it's a lovely place to spend the morning. It's weird when you're sort of brain deep in quite complex matters and you look up and you realise you should be more relaxed than you are because of your surroundings. But it's certainly a lot better than doing it at home, because that can just give you a headache. So this is where we're doing kickstartering today. Nice, yeah. That was quite an unusual place to film, wasn't it? 18th floor of a, I think about 25-storey building, very fancy service departments building in Shoreditch, which is now much more raw than I remember, but there we go, everywhere is. So probably quite an expensive apartment, but amazing views. I took a few photos and what have you. And we're filming a Kickstarter, but I can't tell you what it's for until it obviously is released. So that was quite fun. Interesting way to spend the afternoon. Board papers in the morning, filming in the afternoon. Tomorrow I'm going to be filming all day, so I apologise if I forget to film with this camera, I should say, as opposed to the bit I'm being paid for. I will endeavour to try, and it is the Steak Challenge at the Magic Roundabout in Old Street. Good morning. And it's 7:15, which is a bit early for me, and I'm retracing my steps, as it were. So I'm going back to Vauxhall, and then today I've got to pick up a load of kit before we go to the aforementioned Steak Challenge malarkey. I'm going to be there most of the day. I'm not entirely sure what it involves, other than steak, obviously, it's really a judging competition on the quality of meat. How that can take all day, well, we'll find out, won't we? It is quite a beautiful morning. It's quite warm, the sun's out. It's lovely along the towpath, which is why I've come a slightly longer route to make the most of it and try and wake myself up. It's a lot of late nights this week, and then we get straight into the Austrian Grand Prix at the weekend, so I'll be working Saturday and Sunday as well, and then I think I'm working Monday, so I don't think I'm actually getting a full day off until possibly Tuesday. That rather depends on work, so I'm trying not to let that get me down. It is all money after all. I am finding little breaks here and there, so I've got a bit of time tomorrow morning, although I do have to read board papers, but I can do it somewhere nice. And I've got a bit of time Thursday morning, and the same is true. So this is the Magic Roundabout. This is where we are filming today. Come around here, you can see that this sign is a straight up lie. This is where the judging is occurring.
Right. Give as much detail to this afternoon as you did to this morning.
It's 30. We've got a minute and 45 seconds free.
Nice. So James has been editing this most of the day, and we're down to the last few bitter hours. 200 steaks later, and you can see
Enough steak.
no, it's never enough steak. See the people wandering around Old Street Tube behind him.
But have we tasted the world's best steak?
Yes,
I think we probably
we might well have tasted the world's best steak. We've certainly tasted some that are some of the best steaks I've ever tasted, so it's good enough for me. Let's see what's going on around the corner in the beach area. This is where people are coming and signing in. So it's all wrapped up. The overall winner, as well as winner of a couple of other categories, was a Polish steak, believe it or not. So all I can say is thank goodness for the free market. Or else we wouldn't have the privilege of sampling such excellent steaks as the one coming from Poland. Good morning. It's a very, very sunny and warm day today, which as it was forecast for today and a bit tomorrow actually as well. I haven't got to be anywhere in particular until about 1, so it being sort of 9:30, I'm going to go carry on reading board papers, bide my time somewhere pretty, and then see how I go and head into town. Got another late night tonight. We finished about 10:30 last night and I got back about midnight, so I need something relaxing. That's not to say reading board papers is particularly relaxing, and it's not to say working another late night tonight is particularly relaxing, but I'll do my best. 2 mornings in 1 week I've made it before 10 o'clock. Just. Again. Look at it today. Isn't that spectacular? I need to find a new spot to sit on a bench and read some papers. I'm going to go for a little wander. Just going to find somewhere I haven't sat before. I am ever so glad I'm not working this morning and that the weather is so excellent and that I'm able to come into these gardens, because life's just a little bit heavy at the moment and it's without some sort of relief now and again you can drive yourself slowly mad. So I'm very grateful for this morning, let's just put it that way. I'm not exactly an expert on mental health, although having done a fair amount of recording sessions with Age UK now, I'm beginning to understand a bit more. But what I would say is that it's not simply sort of a binary thing where you either are suffering from a mental health issue or you're not. You're not either mentally ill or just perfectly fine. It's a spectrum, and it can all be all the way from sort of mild anxiety all the way through to sort of severe depression. And everybody, I believe, gets some form of this at some point, and it can just be a temporary stress related incident, or it can be something more marked than that. And my advice would be is, if you know that you're having a difficult time for one reason or another, is to make time to do things that you know make you happier. And that's about having control over the balance of your life a bit. And that can be quite difficult, especially if you're in full-time employment and you don't get to pick your hours or the location in which you work. But I would encourage you to try your utmost in your free time to do things that rebalance your mind a bit, because it is totally worthwhile and it can make a marked difference. Aren't these colours amazing? They're not all naturals. As far as I'm aware, you can put plant dyes in and what have you that turn sort of pinky flowers bluer, but it does look incredible. It was so colourful coming through the trees as I was walking there. I thought someone had put up like some tents or a poster or something, but it's just the spectacular nature of summer in Kew. I am in amongst the redwoods. There's a couple of photos from the wedding photos. I mentioned only about 7 of them have been released, and at least a couple of them are taken here in amongst these amazing trees. I mean, they're just remarkable, and these are babies but they're still incredible. I know I've talked about redwoods before. They're just remarkable organisms to me. It's just hard to fathom. I've said how they get 3 times the height of the pagoda, and those ones there are like 7,500 years old, and they live thousands of years. A 3,000-year-old sequoia is not unheard of by any stretch, and they have a circumference that is so enormous. I mean, they mark it out back there, but it's ridiculous. Can you imagine how insignificant one moment in time would be if you lived 3,000 years? Like, if you were human and you were standing in that spot for 3,000 years, all the nonsense that goes on in a person's lifetime over 75 years, if it was to occur in front of you, would seem almost insignificant. It's such a short period of time. That's what I find hard to fathom. It's like literally, the whole of modern mankind from 1,000 years before Christ to now is the lifetime of one tree. Think about that. That's quite something. The absurdity, of course, is that sequoias largely you get in California. In the United States, a country that thinks 100 years ago is ancient history. Anyway, there's a lot of branch fall that's occurred in my little glade here, so I'm just going to have a bit of a clear up and then finish reading my papers. There we go. That's better. At least all the dead branches are in one spot. Doesn't block it too much now. Oh, it's nice in here. Sit on my bench and carry on. That is the first bit of the temporary house to come out of the scaffolding, with the new windows being fitted. Stonework hasn't quite been finished yet, but it looks pretty good, I have to say. See, there's still a lot more scaffolding, and there's still a year to go on the project. I am at the Grosvenor House Hotel doing some social photography for the old crowd screen, and I'm just going for a bit of a wander around to find where all the different rooms are that I'm supposed to be taking photos in. Good afternoon. It's another beautiful day, and I'm just heading back to the flat, and then I've got to go to a board meeting, as I think I mentioned. I've been all over the place this morning, picking up kit, dropping off kit, wiring kit, having a chat with a local councillor, reading ball papers everywhere I find myself. But it has, I won't lie, it's been a bit of a shit week. Part of that is my fault because I took on slightly too many things at once and said yes to everything, and I've nearly got to the end of that, but I've still got Formula 1 coverage to do this weekend. But part of that is circumstances beyond my control, and I'm not going to talk about why. So sorry, but it made me think about the difficulties with a vlog and personal information, let's say. And I think I've talked about this before, but there's when you watch this, what you get is honesty, and I'll give you a flavour of what I'm doing, but you're never gonna understand everything that's going on in my life, because I don't want to share everything, if I'm honest, and that's just the way it is. And I don't feel comfortable doing that for a number of reasons. But partly it's not all the things that are going on in my life aren't mine alone to share. So that's what you're going to get, and I hope you're happy with that. And I'm sorry if you're not, but it's not negotiable, because it isn't. It's my life, and I'll do as I please. And I have to make decisions that are bigger than what goes in the vlog. Let's put it that way. But yes, suffice to say, this week has been very difficult. The last couple, actually. And I'm hoping that, well, I'm very much looking forward to going to Switzerland, even though I don't get to go with Crystal, because I just need a bit of time away from the world. It would have been better if Crystal could be there, but, circumstances as they are. She hasn't got enough work leave. That's essentially the problem there. And I was going to stay at home, but every single other party, Crystal included, has been like, you need to go, so I'm going. Yeah, but I just need a little bit of time off. I need to not think about work or, the less good parts of life for a little while. And then I'll feel recharged, hopefully. Dell's stag do notwithstanding, that could end it. But I'm optimistic that it won't. And if you're curious why it is I feel the need to share the fact that I had a difficult week, but I'm unwilling to share the reasons why, then it's a good question. I find that talking out loud when I'm on my own during the day, to even this camera, is therapy, so thank you for your therapy. But I don't feel it obliges me to be 100% honest about everything. So there we go. Life isn't bad by any stretch. It's always difficult at times, and I'm glad it's the summer and not the winter, because as I mentioned, I think the other day, being outside really helps give you a bit of perspective, and may in fact be the one thing that's kind of got me through this week, which isn't done yet, but I'm more confident about this week than I maybe was 24 hours ago. And but I do need to sleep. That much is, oh god, do I need to sleep. I tell you what I would be interested in from you, if I haven't asked too much already, is I'm very interested to know how different people cope with stress, and not how you react to it, but what you do to mitigate it. Any suggestions and tips are always useful. I feel like I have a pretty good way of mitigating, but I'm always open to new ideas. I think it's very important that we share that kind of information with one another, so that everybody has the best possible experience of life that they can. As mentioned, mine is very much about getting out and about, being outside, and getting a bit of perspective on the world, so you don't get sort of tunnel vision on the one thing that's making you anxious. But I'd be interested to hear your ideas as well. now. We're going to go and see some Minions later. First of all, Tayah's got to go and eat this massive waffle.
It's well nice.
Thanks again for watching. Again, I forgot to film an outro because we went to Nando's with Tayah and the family afterwards. Saw Despicable Me 3, as I mentioned. It was good fun. Anything with Minions, pretty much I'm sold. So that was good. And then we had a nice meal afterwards. And then, frankly, I collapsed. It was, it's halfway through my 10-day week. So, yeah, it was a good week. It was very varied and it was quite exhausting. I hope you'll join me next week because there will be Formula One cars in various forms and on the streets of London and elsewhere. So if you want to see that, then click subscribe and you'll get notified when the new video goes up. So thank you for watching again.